From the banks of Dewey Lake, it's the Dewey Pod Monster.
All right, happy Halloween. This is the Dewey Pod Monster podcast, and this is your weekly and occasionally holiday-specific podcast about consumption. This week, or this episode, it's probably the second episode you'll have this week, we're talking about a very special one-off Halloween movie. By one-off, I mean it's one of 12. This is the fourth one. We're going to be talking about Halloween 4 because it's Halloween, goddammit. Before we get into that, we are, of course, proud members of the You Run Podcast Network. You can find all of our old episodes, all of our new episodes, and all of our upcoming episodes at yourunpodcast.com. And more importantly, I have someone here with me, pretty good guy. He's a host of the Dewey Pod Monster podcast. His name's Sean. And Sean, how are you doing today?
John, I'm on a diet. Do you want an oinker for a co-host?
Absolutely. We're pushing for the pushing, baby.
All right. Well, you come to the right place.
Scared. As per mentioned, this is a special episode, so we're not doing any of the usual stuff that we do at the beginning. We're just going to roll right into talking about Halloween 4, the return of Michael Myers. We start with a third-party review, because why not? We still did that. And this review comes from JJR, and he gives this movie 2.5 out of 5 stars over on Rotten Tomatoes. And JJR says, Halloween is back on track, riding the express train to misery, and this installment does nothing to redeem the series after the third film. I mean, I guess we'll get to whether or not that's accurate. Sean, I'm going to break tradition a little bit. I'm going to give my cliff notes before we get into the actual plot of this movie. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, that's fine. Let's change it up.
Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, is about Michael and Loomis coming back, but Jamie Lee Curtis didn't want to come back to play. So basically, this movie hits the reset button from the first film, tossed in Danielle Harris, and ditched a ton of little details that made the first film great, like tension, atmosphere, or actual scares, and replaced them with bargain bin mid-80s slasher vibes that only enhance the lore from 1978. So with that in mind, Sean, tell us what Halloween 4 is actually about.
Then you're in for a big treat, bro, because it's hot dog time.
Yes,
I just saved you all the time.
There you go. So for that, we go over to imdb.com. It's this little website about internet movies, and it's a database. We look up the words Halloween 4, and it pulls up Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. And it pulls up a movie from 1988 with an R rating. It clocks in at an hour and 28 minutes. This gets a 5.8 out of 10 with 62,000 ratings. And we're going to read what it says up here on the top. Never quite sure if it's the storyline or the plot, but they wouldn't put it on the top if it wasn't supposed to be read first. It says, 10 years after his original massacre, the invalid Michael Myers awakens on Halloween Eve and returns to Haddonfield to kill his 7-year-old niece. Can Dr. Loomis stop him? And then we scroll on down to the storyline. And this one comes care of Lee Horton. You can find him at leeh@tcp.co.uk. And Lee says it's October 30th, 1988, and Michael Myers has been in a coma since his pursuit of Laurie Strode 10 years ago was finally stopped, the events of H1 and H2. Okay. However, when he transferred from Ridgemont Mental Institute to Smith's Grove, he awakens when he hears that he has a niece in Haddonfield. And after killing the transfer crew, he escapes. In Haddonfield, the niece, Jamie, who has been adopted by the Carruthers family, but keeps having nightmares about Michael, but she doesn't know who he is. On Halloween night, Jamie goes out trick-or-treating, little knowing that her murdering uncle is following her and her stepsister, Rachel. Rushing to her aid is Dr. Loomis, and with the help of Sheriff Meeker, starts to search the town for Michael and to find Jamie to protect her. But can anything stop Michael this time?
I gotta say, Lee, with the exception of your line about the murdering uncle following them around, you might have wanted to run this through like a grammar check or something.
And I read it exactly how it's written.
I know you did, because it threw me off just as much as it threw you off. So before we get into this one, Sean, let's take a quick moment here. Do you want to run through who is the murdering uncle and what actors or actresses or whatever we're calling them these days are in this particular film?
Yeah, so I'll start off with Donald Pleasence, who plays Dr. Loomis. Of course, he's known for the Halloween franchise, for Creepers, Escape from New York, and about 240 other films. We've got Danielle Harris, who plays Jamie Lloyd. She's got a few films in the Halloween series. She was in The Last Boy Scout, Hatchet 2 and 3. and she is known as a bit of a scream queen these days. We've got Ellie Cornell, who plays Rachel Carruthers. She was in House of the Dead 1 and 2. We've got Michael Pataki, who plays Dr. Hoffman. He was in Rocky IV, Graduation Day. Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins. We've got Sasha Jenkins, who plays Brady. He's been in Dazed and Confused and Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And then we've got George P. Wilbur playing Michael Myers.
Did you talk about Cameron Philby?
I didn't talk about Cameron Philby. Why don't you fill us in on Carmen Philby? I didn't talk about Cameron.
I thought it was
but
Cameron.
It's Carmen. Yeah.
Carmen. Okay, my fault.
Cameron.
Carmen Philby is a wonderful actor that plays a drunk guy in a bar in The Wedding Singer, and I find that to be entertaining.
Oh, yeah.
He's in this movie.
I did look that up.
So.
I didn't know if we should mention it, but you just did, so it's fine.
That's what I'm here for, to mention nonsense. So, Sean, I think I know the answer to this movie, but have you had any, I'm sure you're aware of this movie, but have you had any prior knowledge of this before we sat down to talk about it?
I thought Halloween 3 was the last one.
It should have been.
I didn't know. No, I knew of the movie. Obviously, I stopped caring after Halloween 3.
It's understandable. For me, I don't remember the first time I saw this movie. I know I was a kid at some point. At some point I was a kid. I know I was a kid the first time I saw it. I just don't have any real memory of this one sticking out other than knowing that I had seen it and knowing that it had Danielle Harris in it.
Yeah.
So this one, well, we'll get to opinions on this one. So why don't we start on the positive side though? So it's Halloween 4, Michael Myers is back. Is there anything in this movie that you like?
I wouldn't say there's things that, no. There were a few things I liked about this movie. I was going to say, I wouldn't say there were things about this movie I didn't like. I did like a few things. I mean, personally, for me, I would be pretty pumped if my uncle was the boogeyman and the kids at Danielle Harris's school just rag her incessantly about her uncle. Like, everybody knows her uncle is Michael Myers, except really her, I think it seems like nobody's told her. She doesn't seem like she's in on the joke. There is a scene early, there's like specific scenes, right? So there was a scene where Loomis is driving down the highway and his car, what does his car get like all bashed up? Or no, the gas station explodes and his car just happens to be, and he's walking down the road and the car full of cheerleaders pull up and they're like tempting, you're like, hey, come on, old man, get in, walk a little faster, get in the car. And he gets close and they kick all the dust up on him, all the dirt. And I had to give a genuine laugh on that. And that's when Carmen Philby comes by, the old drunk guy in about everything he's ever been in, pulls up and lets him in.
This movie's version of Crazy Ralph.
Yeah, he's a I don't know, like a street pastor or something.
Harbinger of Doom.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd call him necessarily a priest, but I don't know. I also
like
liked,
dressed up as. So.
Yeah, the car is all decked out inside with like counterculture kind of bullshit. And then I really enjoyed that all the podunk hillbillies are sitting in the bar and they see on the news, like, everything's closing in Haddonfield. And they're like more pissed off that the bar is closing than anything else. So they form up a posse to go hunt down. I don't know at that point if they formally knew that it was actually Michael Myers that was causing like all this havoc before he even got to town. And I just thought it was kind of an amusing part of the movie. Like, my favorite parts of the movie are just the kind of the offhanded, silly stuff that happens that for like no real reason other than to be like, well, that's kind of funny that all these hillbillies would be upset that they're, they're closing the bar down so they have to stop drinking. I don't want to like call out this specific scene, but there's a scene later in the movie where Michael kind of infiltrates the house that Danielle and the sister, the quote unquote stepsister, because they're not really related, but they're in the house together and they're climbing out on the roof and all the shingles start falling off the roof. And I was like, man, these guys could have had a roof job. Like, they really need a replacement roof after this movie. And then like the prop house or the actual like people who own the house. And I do like, on a really strong positive side, Danielle Harris at this point, I think is 11, 1988. She's
7.
No, she's actually 11. Like, she's 11 years old for real.
No, I think she's actually 7 in real life. Like, I think she was 7 at the time that this movie was filmed.
Oh, they filmed it in,
I could
like,
be wrong.
Well, she was born the same year I was, so she would have been 84 for her to be 7. So regardless,
okay,
7,
well, maybe I'm
11,
regardless. She's young and
12,
she's great in this movie.
87. Yeah, my thing is like, she does an amazing job for a little kid in a movie like this. And
Mm.
I mean, even some of the situations that they put her in, like, yeah, they probably, the movie magic, they don't actually put her in danger in any scenes, but you get the impression that there's a lot of shit that she probably would have had to see in this movie, and she handles it amazingly. Like, yeah, did I get annoyed that she was crying all the time? Sure. But she's a little kid, and little kids cry all the time. I thought she did an amazing job. So yeah, she's the cherry on top for my likes. Like, I think she did a killer job for the situation she was put in.
So I'll start there. I agree with you that she's great in this movie. I think she's probably the brightest spot of this entire movie, which is rare to say about a kid in a slasher movie. Usually they're the most annoying thing in it, but she really does earn her chops, for lack of better wording. And, you know, she's kind of become this, like, somewhere in the, like, echelon of, like, horror icon ladies of some sort, however you want to word it. I don't know if you want to call her a scream queen or if you just want to call her a female actress in horror movies. I feel like her roles, for the most part, are kind of hit and miss. Like, I don't seek out movies because she's in them, but I don't turn them away because of her either. But I'd say of the movies of hers I've watched, and I'm sure I haven't seen anywhere close to all of them, this might be her best performance, like, just hands down, which is saying something. I don't know if that's good or bad. Past that, I like Loomis in this movie, even though 90% of his dialogue is he's evil, he did this, and it's just repeating shit that we already know. But I kind of like him in this because he feels like a guy who's at the end of his rope and is just kind of spewing out nonsense. I think it's, well, step back, John. We're not 2 dislikes yet. So I think I don't know if he's just doing the best with what he got, or he just decided to take the character in a slightly crazy way, or combination of both. But I do like the character of Loomis and what we get out of him, and his, I guess, evolution of the character makes enough sense to me that I don't have a problem with him in this movie for the most part. Past those two, most of the things that I like in this movie are moments more than anything. I really think it's funny when Michael Myers, and spoilers if you haven't seen this movie, because some of these things we've already spoiled, but I really like when Michael Myers, like, body slams Bucky into the fucking power converter thing and knocks out power to, like, either half the town or, like, intermittently in the town. It seems like it's intermittent because,
yes,
but whatever.
Some places have it and they don't. I really like that scene too.
Yeah, it's not a particularly good scene. It just made me laugh because it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty good. I think it's, you know, I'm going to skip around a little bit. One of my favorite things about this movie, when we get to the end of the movie and they, you know, again, spoilers, if you haven't seen this movie, it's like 30 years old. Catch up. I like when they get to the point where they gun down Myers at the end, the posse and the cops and whoever's left with a gun in the town, it seems like, just goes and unloads on this version of Michael Myers. And he just kind of falls backward into this. It's like a well, which we learn what happens in that well in the next movie. But I love the idea that after they just shoot the guy and, like, let him fall into this well, everyone, including Dr. Loomis, is just like, fuck it, he's fine down there, and they just leave. They don't try to exhume the body. They don't try to, like, examine the body to confirm that he's dead.
Yeah.
None of that. They're just like, fuck it, he's in the dirt. Where he's probably not coming back.
You're telling me there's another movie after this?
There's 9 more after this.
Oh,
if my
no.
math is right. So we're not even halfway through.
Shit.
We're gonna have to keep this show going for a long time, my friend. So yeah, I like the whole fuck it of that whole part at the end, that they just leave them down there. I hear a lot of people complain about Jamie and Rachel's relationship. They keep calling Rachel a bitch because she doesn't want to babysit her kid. And I don't really see that in the character. Like,
no,
Rachel's
really.
a teenager, presumably like a junior or a senior in high school. I don't think it's abnormal for her to want to go get laid as opposed to go babysit her kid's, stepsister. That doesn't seem like a weird motive to me. I think their relationships, at least what they show us, is pretty good for the most part. I believe it as a like step sibling relationship, and I don't get the impression that she's just trying to ditch little Jamie, whatever, to go do her thing. Like, she has opportunities where she could have and she didn't. If anything, let's talk shit about these parents that are like trying to go out and do whatever they're doing, and they're just like, "Whoa, what kind of fucking sister are you? What kind of parent are you? Fuck you." What else is here?
He's got to get that promotion.
You You mentioned the posse, and I do kind of find the posse kind of funny, mostly because there's a lot of leaps of logic here. Like, I think it's funny that the sheriff, who is Ray Liotta's father in Goodfellas, by the way, so, you know, if they get out of line, he'll beat the shit out of them with his belt. I do like that he basically just allows these bumpkins to go straight up murder a dude while on the hunt to murder another dude. I think that's kind of funny. Yeah, I mean, there's a handful of moments here that make this movie kind of entertaining, but it has some drawbacks, and that's where I'm going to pivot, because I don't have a whole ton that I can latch onto that I actually love about this movie. So let's kind of break into, you know what? I got to take a shit. Let's take a shit on this movie. And I'll let you start. Go ahead and unload whatever you got to unload, or we can kind of kick back and forth if you want, however you want to do it.
Yeah, let's kick back a little bit back and forth. So for me, like, one of the main things that really right off the bat caught my attention is how bad Donald Pleasence's makeup is. Like, it seemingly changes from scene to scene. Like, one of them,
I like the first time you see him, it looks like he has a fucking ear on his face.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. It looks like somebody pressed their ear on his face, because it has like that little ridge where, you know, it would go into the ear, and then, or a mole or something. And then later, I'm like looking at it while I'm watching it the whole time, and I'm just like, that is so gross. Like, am I going to have to look at that? The answer is no, because they totally change his makeup. I mean, the patch on his face, but they kept the scratch on his head, but they got rid of the patch on his face. Number two, the mask.
Can I piggyback on it? Okay.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, as long as we're talking about stuff that looks stupid.
Yeah.
I hate and I love the character of Michael Myers. I hate everything about Michael Myers, how he looks in this fucking movie. The mask looks like shit.
It looks horrible.
I know they supposedly just bought a Shatner mask and put it on him. I don't really care that it's white and drawn out. What I hate about is it sits on his face wrong. It looks like he got caught jerking off in the middle of like a church or something. I hate that he's wearing hockey pads under the jumpsuit, so it makes his shoulders look all like over his chin. Like, it just looks fucking ridiculous. And honestly, there's a lot of scenes in this movie where he kind of lumbers around like he shat himself and he can't, like, I know this is also the first time we see Michael Myers like full on like teleporting in parts of the fucking movie, like with no fucking explanation other than I guess he teleported. But when he is moving, it's not like he's exactly limber in the first movie or even the second movie, but it looks like he's moving with intent and purpose. Like, he's slow, he's steady, looks like everything he's doing is kind of deliberate and like thought out. Maybe not by him, but by the director. In this, it just looks like he's kind of not sure where whoever is that he wants to kill. He kind of like stumbles around a little bit. He looks a lot like that one sketch of I Think You Should Leave Now, where they put Tim in that big fucking plastic mask in the mall and he's just in there screaming about how he wants to die. That's basically what Michael Myers looks like in the majority of this movie.
He just stumbles around. They'd say action. The actor stumbles around. He eventually gets to his mark, and then he stands there kind of bewildered and then wanders off a little bit.
And then someone off screens to death.
Hey, Michael, over here. Yeah, the teleportation is just, I wrote the teleportation powers are strong with this one. Like, he is everywhere and he is nowhere at the same time.
Yeah.
And he'll just pop up. He'll be like on the roof. All of a sudden he's on the ground. Like, seconds later, he just comes around a corner. It's kind of, I don't know, almost miraculous to me that they only had one actor play Michael, because
they had two, kind of. So
it seems like they had a lot.
They had one. He got fired. He actually was a Jason he played Jason in part 5. He got fired early. I forget the reasoning why, but he got fired early and they replaced him with the other guy.
He probably walked on set with a Jason mask and he's like, oh shit. And they're like, you don't even know. Get out of here. You're fired. The other thing, like, so, I know it's a hallmark of the series and really slashers in general, but they really, really overdo the first person camera of him like peering through things, and to the point where it's like, it's not him, it's just the cameras using that action. Because like in the first movie, I remember like praising that, oh, it's so cool that they use the first person. You know, I remember talking about it in the first Friday the 13th. It's like a staple of the genre. The killer's looking at you. The camera is representing the killer, and you see what he sees. This one, it's just like, yeah, we just kind of put it in there because we thought we could build whatever little tension there is in this movie by making it look like Michael's actually stalking and watching people. But again, unless he's teleporting, he's not.
So I already mentioned this. There's a lot of off-screen deaths in this movie for a Halloween movie that's got Michael Myers in it. I counted at least 6, and there's certain scenes where it's hard to really tell because there's like the police station that they show up on where there's like a dude who seemingly has his arm hacked off like perfectly. You see him pretty clearly, but you just see a mess, and there's a couple spots where they do stuff like that. But there are a lot of people where, this movie's rated R, and I almost wonder why this movie's rated R because, there is no nudity in this movie, which, I mean, fine, but it is disappointing in a way because, to be perfectly honest, there's part of me that's like, God, the least you could do is show me some tits or something if this is all we're going to do is like stumble around in the dark, but they don't. And that's neither here nor there. There's so many off-screen deaths that do happen. Like most of the, even the ones that are on screen, like I said, I find the Bucky death really funny because it's ridiculous. But there's no blood in it. It looks like they throw a mannequin into like some machine that creates sparks or something, however they decide to do. I doubt they really threw it on like a power converter, although that would have been pretty funny. Even like when they get to what's her face's death, whose boobs we don't see, they shove a shotgun through her torso, I guess, which one doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I mean, I guess if you do it with enough force, you could do it, but it doesn't really make sense. Like, I don't know about you. I would have been more entertained to just see him use the shotgun as a shotgun.
Yeah. Well, yeah, especially in Michael's hands.
It would have been different. It would have been weird, but I know like the supposed rule is like slashers don't use guns, but I think in this instance, it would have been more interesting and a different like twist than what we got. Because there's just something about him going through her body and then through a wall. And doesn't he like impale her on the wall or something like that?
Yeah,
like,
I think
that just
she's like hanging or something.
Yeah, it just seems fucking ridiculous.
Yeah,
like
odd.
And it's supposed to be ridiculous, obviously, but it's ridiculous in the sense like either the gun's falling out of the wall or she's falling off the gun, or like this isn't right. Because to this point, they never, teleportation aside, Michael's still a human, right?
I guess. I haven't seen the rest of the movies, so I don't know where it goes from here.
Well, yeah. What else? What else you got that you love about this movie or hate? You can go either way. I don't really, whatever you want to do.
What is up with the gray-haired Michael that throws Loomis through the window? What is up with that?
So that's the original actor, the guy who played Roy. So the one, I love that it's in there because every time I see it, I think Ben Tramer came back from the dead and is fucking up Loomis for, reasons, because I guess he got him ran over by a car. The story is that was an early production shot. They didn't finish painting the mask and they just went and shot it as like test footage. They hated it, immediately changed the mask to another shitty looking mask. How that scene ended up in the movie, your guess is as good as mine, but that's the story as to why it looks that way. Again, why they decided like, yeah, this should be in the film. I have no fucking clue.
We hate this.
I do like that it's there though. Yeah, I do like that it's there though, because it's
a weird little like Easter egg or something.
Right. And it leads to my point where Myers just looks dumb in this fucking movie.
What is up with near the end of the movie? There is the hillbillies are in a truck. They're driving down the highway. The state police come. They're like, "Oh, Haddonfield's that way."
Go.
Yeah, where's the police? Where can you take this girl? Because she's all fucked up. And they're like, "Yeah, go that way." And Michael's he's pulled like an Indiana Jones, and he's hung onto the bottom of this crankshaft of this truck. I was going
to call it a Sideshow Bob, but sure.
He's hung onto the bottom of this truck or something, or the back. His fingernails were hanging on the tailgate of this truck. Ugh. And he like decides this is the moment. And nobody in the truck realizes that he is on the back, that he has killed all three
including
of those guys.
the 3 or 4 people that he murders. Like yes. None of them hear a fucking thing.
None of them had an idea.
So I drove a pickup truck for a few years. I can tell you this, if you have something in the bed of your pickup truck that is not a live human and it moves even a little bit, you know it. Like you're aware, you don't necessarily feel it, but you can hear it. You can see it in your rear view, et cetera, et cetera. The idea that a person like we'll just, for the sake of suspended belief. We'll say that, okay, he somehow ended up under this truck miraculously and ended up in the truck. Let's just ignore that for a second. The idea that he murdered 3 fat ass adult hillbilly males with guns, and the guy driving the pickup truck never even noticed the fucking commotion behind him, even though at one point he turns and looks back, is like gotta be in like the top 10 stupidest things that I've ever seen stupid characters do in a horror movie.
Yeah.
It's very dumb. So what and it's sad because they kind of like try to make up for it, because one of the better kills in the movie is when he gets to the driver of that, whatever his name is, head hillbilly, and he like basically like mauls him with his hand. That's kind of cool. That's one of the few times where we actually get some gore in this movie. But like, it's bookended by such stupidity, because after that, you know, it predictably, he, you know, guy gets thrown out of the car. They struggle, kind of drive, throw Michael off the car. And then we get quite possibly the best attempt at vehicular manslaughter that I've seen in quite some time, because they clearly hit a dummy and then cut to a stuntman jumping backwards. It just looks so fucking bad.
Yeah,
like it really looks bad.
It's really poorly put together, really poorly sequenced.
Yeah.
And I guess the last thing that it's almost, well, probably is right near the end of the movie. It feels very cliched. This whole Danielle Harris character, kind of the transference of power into her body, or I don't know if it's power, but evil. Yeah. And it's just feels so hokey. Like we've seen this too many times. And this is like the idea that
we've seen it better.
Yes. And this is the idea that you decided to go with. Like you decided this would be a good way to end your movie. Why? It seems like a really silly thing.
I can't wait till next year till you ask that question all over again. So.
I'm waiting for the Cult of Thorn. That's what I'm waiting for. Yeah,
this is the start of the Cult of Thorn.
Oh, nice.
This is the first movie in the Cult of Thorn.
All right. I knew I liked this movie for a reason.
One of the things that disappoints me with this movie too, so there's a point in the movie before Michael, like they know Michael is in Haddonfield, but Jamie hasn't officially seen him yet. Hasn't actually seen him yet. And you know, by sheer coincidence, the cops pick her up, like, you know, at perfect timing. They throw Jamie and Rachel into the car, and Loomis and new sheriff, not Brackett, Sheriff Ray Liotta dad, are sitting outside the car, and all of a sudden, all these kids pop up in Myers masks that are, there's like 3 of them that show at different angles from them, and Loomis is ready to just shoot them all. And I think that's great. Loomis is ready to shoot pretty much anyone that he thinks is evil in this movie, including Jamie at the end of the fucking movie. But I kind of really would have liked them to explore that more, to have like, because this is now 10 years after, and I think in 1988, people might, because this is what, 88 when this came out, I think?
Yeah.
Or in the late 80s when this came out, I think people might not have thought like, I don't know if people were dressing up like Jeffrey Dahmer or dressing up like John Wayne Gacy in the 80s. Probably not, because but I think you get where I'm going with this. The idea now of people dressing up like their town's mass murderer seems very plausible to me.
Yeah.
So,
I'm doing it this year.
Yeah, well, have follow-up questions, but I'll save those for later.
All fair.
I would have kind of liked the idea of them exploring either a bunch of people in Myers costumes, like getting shot by the hillbillies, getting shot by, you know, Loomis or whatever, just kind of creating this different level of chaos that we haven't seen in this franchise. I think that would have been a cool little wrinkle to throw in there. The problem is this isn't the movie to do it. This movie is, quite frankly, so stupid that putting that kind of real life consequence in this silly movie just wouldn't have played well in this particular entry of the franchise, which is a fucking shame. And that's kind of where a lot, to me, like the big problem with this movie comes from. Like, I couldn't tell you how many times I watched this movie as a whole, but I watched it twice this week. And every time I watch this movie, and I believe it or not, I don't hate this movie despite the conversation we've been having. This is like the most, I feel so much apathy towards this movie. I just have no real like big pull for it one way or the other. And I think the reason why is just because I like the character of Michael Myers, so I give it a pass. But I feel like in a lot of ways, this movie is like just a generic late 80s slasher. Like, that's it. And if it didn't have the name Halloween on it, if it didn't have the character of Michael Myers in it, all right, it'd be fine, just like a million other generic middle of the road slashers that we all watch and say, all right, it's nothing great, but it's got its moments. But the problem is it's a Halloween movie. It does have Michael Myers in it. You want those John Carpenterisms in it, and they're just fucking not there to me.
Yeah, and you've been anticipating seeing the return of Michael Myers since 2. You know, people were like probably really thrown off at the time by 3. We talked about it last year. When this movie comes out, there's high expectations for a movie that carries a Halloween title, has a poster with Michael Myers' mask, the Shatner mask on it. You know,
Poster looks great, by the way.
Yeah, and too bad the mask looks nothing like this.
Right.
But everybody's like, you know, this movie comes out and people are highly anticipating to see this, and they get, like you said, a kind of a generic middle of the road slasher that happens to have a character that wears a mask like Michael Myers.
Yeah, if they had just called this movie like Guy in Stupid Mask Kills People,
October 31st.
I probably would have liked it more. Right. It would have changed the expectation. But that expectation, at least for this franchise, it unfortunately does carry some weight with it. So,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. How long do you want to go with this? Because I could shit on this movie for a while. I could continue to shit if we need to shit more.
I'm good with wrapping it. I know it'll be a short episode, but you know, it is what it is.
That's
this
fine.
is a bonus.
This is a one-off episode.
This is a bonus.
Right. All right. Well, with that in mind, then let's pull up our trousers, wipe the shit off, fire up the grill, and see what kind of meaty hot dogs we can put on there.
Then you're in for a big treat, bro. Because it's hot dog time.
Sean, you're new to this one. Why don't you go ahead and lead us off, and I'll ramble some more in a few moments here.
Well, I mean, I think I pretty much said what I was going to say. I think in a way it's a bit of a return to form. Like, at least you kind of feel like this is a Halloween movie because the characters that one of the characters, 2 of the characters you expect to be in this are in it. So in that respect, it's kind of a return to form, but you know, it feels like a Halloween in name only kind of movie. You know, it's like you got the 2 people that you're looking forward to, the 2 characters you're looking forward to seeing, but it seems almost like rather than having the whole town of Haddonfield for Michael to play around in, the focus is this one house, and it happens to be like a bit of a haunted house, and he's not going to get in here, and he gets in, and you know, shit happens, right? So, I mean, to kind of hammer back, like to me, the mask looks horrible. It looks, off the shelf. The explanation is he just grabbed it off the shelf, whatever. But it didn't look good regardless. And they used that Michael Myers first camera's perspective a little bit too much for me. All the teleportation seems way too far-fetched. And it just, adding all those things together just made, even suspending disbelief, it just felt like too hard to believe. You know, there's some movies where you're like, okay, yeah, you got me on that one. All right, I'll give you that and take this one. I think that with them doing, as I mentioned before, their own take on that kind of quote unquote next generation ending, it just, they didn't pull it off very well. I am curious to see what happens in the next one. Again, I'm looking forward to the whole Cult of Thorn. So I guess in that respect, I'd give Halloween 4 half a hot dog. I didn't have any, there were no problems that I had that turned me off 100%. But like you said, it felt like I was just watching a movie. You know, it didn't feel like there was anything that really stood out. And I could see this one really just being kind of forgettable and falling off the table and never remembering that it was there in the first place to pick it up. So half a hot dog to me.
Whose hot dog is this, huh? Is it yours?
So, friend of the show, Justin from Pop Culture Reflections podcast once said, and I agree with him, the worst thing a movie can do is be forgettable. And that's the biggest problem this movie has, is that it's largely forgettable. If it didn't have Loomis and Michael Myers, and I'll go as far to say if it didn't have Danielle in it as well, because she obviously has, you know, created quite the career out of this role, this movie would be entirely forgettable. This is the first of the franchise that I would say is, you know, if you were saying like horror movies 101, like what's required watching, this is the first of the, like, if you're going in order, that is, I would say, is not required watching unless you're just like really into Michael Myers, and yeah, watch it. But this is a hard one to really recommend because, again, if you're just like a horror hound that wants to watch shit like we do, yeah, put it on. You'll probably be okay with it, but I don't think you'll leave it being thrilled. If you're not, if you want movies that actually do something new or different, I mean, this movie in a lot of ways kind of mirrors my thoughts on what Ghostbusters 2 did to Ghostbusters 1. It takes a lot of the same beats, it takes a lot of the same ideas, and for one reason or another, just kind of very lightly reboots the story with it's like they forgot to take their Viagra before they started shooting because it's just limp through the whole fucking movie. So for me, it's a half a hot dog. Again, if you're a Halloween fan, then yeah, absolutely you need to watch it because it's a Halloween movie. If you're not a Halloween fan, I mean, sure, but I could probably recommend 20 other movies that take place on or around Halloween that I would probably put in front of this one.
I agree.
Like Primal Rage, for example. It's got monkeys in it.
There you go. And Halloween.
And Halloween.
And a faucet that
So
blood comes out of. That happens to be someone's head.
Oh, I was like, wait, what? What was in this movie? I forgot. We did do a question of the week or question of the last couple days for this because I figured it'd be a good one to just kind of have some fun with on this special Halloween episode. And I asked quite simply, which Michael Myers looks the dumbest? And there's a picture of Michael Myers from each of the 12 movies that Michael Myers is in. One of them's actually in here twice. I'm looking at it a little closer. I don't care. So we asked you to respond and we got a few responses. We'll start over on Threads. And the first person who responded was Key2 Fitness. And he says the worst Michael Myers is Halloween Resurrection, which it does look pretty bad. There's fucking eyebrows on that. Stan_Hensley says Halloween 4, H2O, and Resurrection. Again, these all look like shit. Jonathan Edward 888 says Halloween 3. Okay. You barely see his mask in that movie, but whatever works for you. Never mind. Fuck this guy. He said Halloween H2O. But I can't read his name. J Deal 30 says, I may get flack for this, but oh well, I circled the most terrible ones, which includes Halloween 4, Halloween H2O, and Halloween 2, the Rob Zombie version, which is pretty fucking bad because it's barely a mask at that point.
Yeah.
Switching over to, what is this? Blue Sky. The aforementioned Justin from Pop Culture Reflections podcast says, the Clay Aiken looking mask from H2O is a lot like the film itself. Utter and complete shit. I'll agree the mask is shit. I like that movie though. And then our friend BP over at Let's Talk Horror says absolutely all of them except for the OG and Halloween 2, but not the Rob Zombie one. 0 Rob Zombie ones. Just like the OG 1 and 2, which are the same mask, but fucked up from living in a box and shoved in some Dick Warlock's face. What's his name? So BP doesn't like... BP told me he wants to just destroy this franchise after the first 3 movies, so take that for what it's worth. And then our friend Justin, not our friend Justin, our friend Boomer over at Podcast in the Woods said Halloween 4 is the absolute worst. It looks like Michael Myers is ashamed that he had just sharted. That's pretty much similar to what I had said with it.
Yeah,
so,
sounds familiar.
let's see. Over on the... Nope, not on there. I thought I had them on here. That's why it's the wrong thing. Hold on. Sorry, I pulled up the wrong fucking thing. Over on the Slasher app, that's a real thing. I hardly ever use it, but it is a real thing, and I figured for this movie, probably worth using. Catherine Tramwell says either Halloween 5 or Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Sorry, I got to refer back to this picture over and over again. Maybe I shouldn't have done this. Halloween 69 says these are all the emotions that I go through on a weekly basis. Chrome Skull said Resurrection for sure. I can't take it seriously when the fucking eyebrows and eyeshadow show up. And then Howling at the Moon Knight says I really don't like how tight the H2O mask is on Michael's face, and the fact that you can see his eyes at all times makes Michael more goofy than scary. He does kind of have like a deer caught in headlight look in parts of H2O.
Is it like when your dog is laying on the floor and it hears somebody fart and it like looks around? It just lifts its eyebrows and...
Kind of, but with a lot more white in the eyes.
Okay.
So. And then last and certainly not least, we'll be on Instagram. And let's see, we have Just Another Movie Night says 3 through 9 all look like Temu orders, but their Halloween 4 mask has always shocked me the most. And then Greg over at You Gonna Eat That Crust said number 4 and number 7. So he's referring to Halloween 5 and Halloween H2O, which both look like shit. So he's not wrong. And then We got a couple more here, if I can find them again. You're going to cut like all this out. I'm going to just be reading it for nothing.
I was thinking it.
Our friend Jordana over at Pretty Killer Podcast said Halloween 4 and H2O are the most cringe. Let's see. Mr. Martu says it's a 4-way tie between 4, 5, 6, and 7. Hubby Puppy Hockey Heart says bottom left, which is Halloween 2. He looks like a melting Alice Cooper. The Quintess says 3 and 4 are a race to the bottom. By 3 and 4, he's referring to Halloween 4 and Halloween 5. That's off the order on this. And then other John, the better John, said, I want so badly to say either of the Rob Zombie ones because I hate those movies, but Halloween 4's mask is just so damn bad. On a totally unrelated note, fuck you, Rob Zombie. No arguments there. And then last, Spuds McKenzie says 4 and 5 are the absolute worst. Sean, how about you? What's it? I know you haven't seen all these movies, but I sent you this image as a point of reference. What is your least favorite Halloween mask?
That one that looks like he's super surprised and his eyes are like really elongated.
That's H2O.
Okay. Yeah, that looks really fucking bad. This one looked pretty bad, but I think H2O is probably worse, even though I haven't seen that movie yet, but I'm looking forward to seeing it in about 7 years.
We got a ways to go. I'm going to agree that Halloween 4 is probably my least favorite, but it's not just because of the mask. It's because of his overall look. It's just so fucking stupid in this movie. But the mask is also bad. And I will never understand why this movie went from 4 up until the first Rob Zombie movie with these masks just looking like utter fucking shit. Now, Zombie's second mask was terrible. That's a whole different conversation for a different day. But for all the things I can say bad about the Rob Zombie movie, they actually made Jason look... They made it way better. They put Jason in the movie. They actually made Michael look decent enough for what the movie was. So I'm not going to bitch about that part. But yeah, there's a solid 2-decade run here where these this is like the simplest mask in all these horror movies. And it just looks like utter fucking garbage for a 20-year period. So
it's like you had one job,
Doesn't even seem like it should be that hard a job. So you got anything you want to add in here?
No. No, I don't.
All right. Well, that's all we got. I hope you guys all have yourself a great Halloween, and we will be back soon to talk about our regularly scheduled bullshit. In the meantime, if you want, you can find us on all the social networks. We are at Dewey Podmonster, with the exception of Blue Sky, where we are at, I almost said at Beesky, with the exception of Blue Sky, where we are at crap.town. Of course, you can go to our site, which is crap.town. You can always leave us feedback on there. Tell us what movies you want us to talk about. You can go to yourunpodcast.com. That is the network that we are part of. While you're there, please do check out someone that you haven't heard before. It's great to always learn new things. And if you could, we would appreciate if you are listening on whatever podcast platform you prefer, Spotify, iTunes, whichever it is. If you could leave us a rating or a review, whatever you prefer, whatever they allow you to do, that would be greatly appreciated. It helps other people find the show. Sean, what am I forgetting? Wrap us up.
I was going to mention, if you wanted to have your answer of the question of the week read on this here show, you have to answer the question of the week. And you can answer the question of the week by going to the social medias that John cares about, looking for at Dewey Podmonster, except for Blue Sky, where we are at crap.town. I can be found on Blue Sky at internalbleeding.crap.town. I post silly little clips of silly little movies, and sometimes I ask why there are so many animals trying to sell me insurance on TV. Also, if you like anything that you heard on the show, Halloween 4, I'm sure will be linked somewhere online so you can watch it in case you haven't seen it before. It might be a free link. I'm going to try to make it free if I can, but if it's not free, it's going to be on Amazon. If you click that link, it'll say Amazon afterwards. If you buy something on Amazon, we get a small cut of whatever it is that you buy. They don't actually send us a little bit of what you bought, but they send us a few pennies on the dollars that you spent. And yeah, if you want to help the show, that's the best way to do it. Also, the best way to help the show other than that is by leaving a review like John mentioned.
Yeah, I was going to try to find some. Anyway, that's it. That's all we got. Have yourself a great Halloween. We'll be back soon. And swill up, yeah, butthorns.
Bird season's over, butthorn.
Six body sheriff. That's what I've been. Never mind. I was going to try to find a good stupid Loomis quote, but I couldn't
No, how about no?
Should have had
No. That would have been
I already shared that
perfect.
this week. So